What are your qualifications?
Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy. Now, what do you think? You think I'm qualified?
Quit picking your nose, Clark. Let's go. Look alive. Coming to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, now is the time where myself and Jim are going to speak. Ta-da-da!
Well, Jim, I can't hear myself.
I can hear you.
Oh, I bought new headphones, and now I have to click this button every time I want to speak.
Technology has a drawback sometimes.
I know, right? You'd think that we'd come far enough that I wouldn't have to hold a walkie-talkie button to hear my own self talk. But here we are.
So we got to go to Radio Shack and buy some cheap some.
Yeah, well, if there was
some.
I think Radio Shack is gone. I was there for the closeout sale.
What?
I
got like $200 worth of LEDs and switches for like $50. I think.
And are you using them?
Yes, I've used for them. Yes, I've been. Yes.
Awesome. Well, this Radio Shack podcast brought to you by.
So we can't get sponsored by Radio Shack. That bums me out.
Unfortunately. Jim, this is lucky number 15.
Lucky number 15.
In what industry?
The adult the adult entertainment industry. Lucky 15.
Got it.
I'm familiar with Rule 34. What is the 15?
I made that up.
Thank you.
Not much of a porn guy, actually.
I hate to be.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel better about myself.
Talk to Uncle Nate. He'll fill you in on that stuff.
This is episode 15.
15!
So I can't believe, it seems like we haven't gone for that long, but then again,
it's our professionalism.
Yeah, it's exactly. We keep getting better every week, and I don't know. We've gone through a lot of ups and downs, but 15, here we are. We're still standing, just like Rocket Man.
I still haven't seen Rocket Man.
I'm still standing.
I didn't go see Rocket Man.
You saw that music video, though, right? It's like the "I'm Still Standing" song.
No,
you've never heard of it?
I did do in show choir in the 12th grade. I did do an Elton John tribute thing.
All right. Well, anyway, we're still standing. We're still going strong. In today's episode, we're happy to bring on Joe Puente. Did I say that right? Or
yeah, that's pretty good.
Or did I give it too much accentuation?
I've heard worse mispronunciation.
I could have gone Puente.
Such as?
Puente.
You get lazy with it.
Puente.
How do you say it?
Puente.
Puente.
I like to get that, Puente accent in the first syllable and the really,
It really goes with the
there.
Joe.
Yeah, it does. It does, yeah.
Joe Puente.
And then Emily's also in the studio.
In the box.
In the box. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
I do see a blonde head from here.
Right?
So that's appropriate.
That's a great movie. 7.
It is.
Oh, I gotta watch that again.
Emily, how you doing?
Better than Gwyneth Paltrow and stuff.
Oh, good. I was like, wait, what?
She only has cooties. She doesn't have a head in a box.
No, I had the cootie shot in elementary school.
Doesn't work. Girls always have cooties.
No.
It's the rule.
And then, Jim, I also haven't seen you for a week.
A whole week.
How have you been?
I've been great. I saw some movies.
How many movies did you watch this week?
Oh, that's not even fair. Give me an over-under.
Are we including Stranger Things in this?
No, that's not a movie.
Okay.
And I did watch a lot of that, too.
Jeez. 4, I feel
over
like.
4.
Over 4 movies?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Easy over 4. And most of Stranger Things. And then I got to start Good Omens, too. But I think I'm going to wait till I can just watch it all in one day.
Okay.
It's like Saturday.
Did you watch Stranger Things this holiday weekend, Joe?
I did not. My wife did, though, and I was standing by and watching her, cry as it ended. And I'm like,
no
what's
spoilers.
the matter? I'm like, oh, was that the last episode? She's like, yes, it was.
I have to wait a few months.
So, is not to go because it's the movie hour. We don't spend too much time.
Not the TV hour.
No.
But is Stranger Things the most popular television show now that Game of Thrones is gone?
I don't think it's a television show either.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to compare Netflix to everything else.
It's a streaming show.
They drop it all at once.
Yeah.
So, but it is.
They got to have almost a new category for it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a movie, but it's like what is it? 8 episodes and an hour pops. It's an 8-hour movie, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Because
no commercials, no breaks.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's kind of like an audiovisual novel.
There you go.
This is the way we're going to be consuming long long-form storytelling now instead of...
So chapter and verses is what this
Yeah.
would be.
Yeah. And,
Chapter 3, verse 1 through 8.
Yeah. And in some things, we'll still be doing the like the old water cooler thing. Oh, waiting for this week, you know. And then other times it's going to be drop all the episodes and people are going to binge it over a
But you got like
weekend,
CBS
and
that's not doing that. CBS will do one episode a week. Like
True.
if you're checking out the new Star Trek, which was actually pretty good,
Yeah.
they only did it once a week.
You're one of the few that subscribe to the CBS. All
Yeah, I
Access?
did it.
Okay.
I'm a nerd. Well, don't
Star
hang
Trek,
out with
I
me.
mean, I mean, Star- is
The
that
other
the only
one,
thing?
the
Is
Twilight Zone, not good,
Okay,
but
that's on there.
but Star Trek, great, and the Picard dropped today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the new poster, I should say.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, I was about to say,
Poster.
about
Yeah,
that.
entire
no, it's not
show.
now, but
Poster.
yeah, they're finally starting to release stuff.
I'm going to be really disappointed if that dog does not speak with a collar like Doug on Up. Am I alone in that?
And if his house doesn't
it's
fly,
the 25th century, right? It's supposed to be on
Dogs
the
have to
cusp
speak
there.
then.
Yeah.
That dog better be talking through a collar.
we'll see.
Awesome. So today's show, not we're gonna get off TV here now.
We
but
always we go on tangents.
we're gonna talk to Joe a little bit about his career, his acting life as a make believer.
I like that, make believe.
And he also runs one of the big forums on the old Facebook for the local actors as well.
I'm proud to say it's the biggest.
The biggest.
Yes, over 14,000 members. Most of them actual people, I'm pretty sure.
And I haven't been banned from it yet, so that's good.
Okay. Which forum is this one, just so I know?
This would be the Utah Filmmakers and Actors Group.
Okay.
It's one of the first ones, too.
Awesome.
Yes.
And then afterward, we'll get to that interview really quick. Afterwards, we're going to talk about our flashback movie reviews. So a couple movies. I emailed you. I don't know if you watched them or if you've seen them.
I have.
Okay, cool. The first one we'll talk about is A Ghost Story,
Scary.
the movie that Jim suggested us to watch. And then afterwards,
I really enjoyed it. Yes, please.
and then afterwards, The Godfather. Not
Oldie but goodie.
Classic.
just the basic Godfather.
The only reason why we're letting the classics in is because I feel most people don't watch anything older than 5 years anyways. They're like, what? What is this?
So, well, The Godfather is one of those movies that I think that
Should watch it.
My generation doesn't watch. just
Doesn't
'cause
know what it is.
It's hard to. It's a hard watch. Not hard, but it's hard to find, and then it's long.
True that.
And then afterwards we'll
And there's
talk.
several versions too.
Yeah. Wait, there are?
Well, yeah, like there's one where they've taken all of the flashback stuff and they just rearranged it so that you watch everything in chronological order, starting with young Vito, young Don Corleone, whatever, young Vito going up through his life in Italy, and then you get to Godfather 1, and then all the interesting stuff in 2.
Oh,
and 3.
so it's like, okay, I get you what
They're
you're saying.
all
there.
smashed together.
It's
They've
not like
taken all the flash-
reordered number one, but it's like
Yeah,
3
they've taken all
and
the
1.
flashback
Got it.
scenes and put them in the front.
Okay. And then afterwards, we'll talk a little bit about some movie news, some movies that are coming out here soon, some movie buzz.
And I do want to bring up I finally saw the Spider-Man, so I want to talk about a few things about
let's
Spider-Man.
do that before we do the flashback movie reviews.
Okay. And definitely make fun of the crazy rich Asians, which was dumb. But I'll wait to tell you what I thought of that one until we get to that
I
part.
told him that we
Pump
didn't
the
want to
brakes on
talk.
that one, Jim.
We didn't want to talk about that one on this.
No,
on
but I'll
this
wait
show.
to tell you how stupid it was when we get there.
Okay. And then dang you, Jim! You hijacked my rundown.
He told me no. He told me no.
And then we'll see where we go from there. But if we have time, we'll talk about some other movie news and then our
New
movie
movies.
challenges. And wait, we totally missed the exciting news from the week for the show.
Yeah, we did get a little bit of exciting news. We're actually credentialed now.
We are
Oh, my.
journalists.
We're journalists.
I have a degree in it.
Outstanding.
So yeah, but
And I've sat in a lot of chairs.
To be able to work in a field you actually studied
Yeah.
in, man, that is...
oof,
Congratulations.
right?
And now we're getting credentialed. We got credentials for what was this one?
We got press passes for FanX in September.
Outstanding.
So,
Congratulations.
Yeah.
The movie hour.
So we can go up and get turned down by the movie stars. and say, I don't want to talk to you.
It's like, who are you? So we're a podcast.
Hey, local podcast, man.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. I've never actually been to Comic-Con, so this will be my first time.
Oh.
So I'm really excited.
Well, Comic-Con's all the way in San Diego.
FanX,
Yes, we know.
Salt Lake.
You're gonna get them sued, Brady.
My bad. So this will be my first time going to one of these, so I'm excited to actually experience that and provide a lot of content. That I believe the rules as I read them is that weekend after or that week that after we go to it, our show is strictly dedicated to the FanX. Is what I've after the rules.
We'll see how that goes.
So like that, I believe it's the 9th through the 10th, or
9th through the 10th. Oh, that's a big window.
The 8th, 9th, and 10th, I think, is the FanX. So that weekend after our show will be strictly dedicated straight up to FanX and everything we learned there.
But we could be creative with just the people that were there. We could pick their movies. So technically, we're still talking about someone that was at FanX.
Yes.
See?
Good idea.
Yes.
Creative.
Exactly.
That's why you bring me in.
Cool. Without further ado, let's get into talking with Joe here a little bit. Joe Puente. I want to talk about creating a Facebook page for local actors and stuff. I want to start there real quick, just because it's an interesting. When you were doing it, what was the original idea with like just like, oh, I want like to find people like me? You're one of the first people to find it.
Here's the interesting story. I was not the original person to start that particular group. It was actually started by Ben Hawker in 2007. Now, I did start the Utah Filmmakers Association, the nonprofit organization, in 2002.
Okay.
And when I became a member of Ben's group, I was pretty actively involved. And after about a year or so, Ben said, "Hey, I really like your input on here. Would you like to help me admin the group?" And I said, "Sure, no problem." And it got to a point where everyone just started referring to it as my group, and then I started feeling guilty because I felt like I kind of stole it from Ben. And so then I said, "Ben, will you please be on the board of directors so that I feel less guilty about hijacking your group?" And he's like, "I don't know." I said, "It's kind of an emeritus thing. You really don't have to do anything." He's like, "Oh, okay, I can do that." So I feel a lot better now.
Good.
But there have been and there are several different groups that have been started over the years for Utah/filmmaking, and at one point I was in several of them. And when I started getting tired of seeing post after post after post of the same thing from a half dozen different groups, I'm like, these are all the same people.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pick the one with the most members and
Stick
delete
with it.
the rest.
Yeah.
And that one I've been nurturing along, and it's now the biggest and the best. And we've done a lot to really engage the professionals in the group, to help the newbies to have better understanding of how things are done in the business, and really make a structured atmosphere that is still pretty free flowing and self managing.
So what would they come to your site to do? For those that are like, why would they need or want to come to Utah Filmmakers?
Well, our main interaction with the community is going to be through the Facebook group, and that's going to be mainly so you can. That's like your number one spot to network with other filmmakers, with professionals and novices alike. And there is in the Facebook group a mentorship program. So if there's something specific you want to learn about, you can go in there and say, "Hey, I'm looking for a mentor." If you have something you want to teach, you can say,
Kind
"Hey,
of like AA
I
with a
want to
sponsor.
Yes, exactly. We just have to establish some 12 steps, and we'll be good to go. So the focus for Utah Filmmakers, the main mission for the organization, is kind of building a bridge between the filmmaking community and the filmmaking industry. In other words, the guys who are making movies on the weekend, help them to better understand how to actually be in the film industry by doing things according to industry standards, and learning the requisite business stuff that goes along with the fun art stuff.
Awesome. Before you walked in here, you and I talked a little bit about you've had a busy day today.
I have.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
I act from time to time. Okay, I audition more than I actually act.
That's acting.
Yeah.
You go in those rooms. What are you doing in there?
Exactly. That's actually the main way that I fund projects for Utah Filmmakers is through acting gigs and film gigs, whatever I'm doing.
I like the audition process. And people, when they say that I go to auditions, I don't get to act. When you audition, it's really the only time that you get to decide how you want to perform that piece.
True.
And a lot of people, they go in there and try to act like what they think they want. And I'm like, you're doing it wrong. This is the one time you get to do it however you want without any input from anyone else. You got one shot at it. So why go in and be like everyone else?
Yeah.
And everyone always says, I didn't think about it that way. I'm like, that's why you don't get called back.
And
That's why you suck.
And this was an actual callback. And so I was performing for the director and a couple of the producers. And it's like, okay. And I did exactly that. I did a variation on what was written.
Yeah.
And they liked it. And they're like, okay, give us another one. Only do this. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. And both times I was able to, slip in a little Joe joke and
Little Joe.
What is a
Joe?
Joe joke?
I like how he said it. He called it a little Joe joke.
I was like, I missed something.
like to
Is that like a common phrase or?
no.
Okay.
It is now.
We're gonna use that for all of like our shows from going forward. It's like,
just a Joe
It's
joke.
gonna slip a little JoJo in there.
I won't trademark that. Yeah, I like to leave them laughing, is what I say. I figure that's going to get them to remember me. Maybe they'll be like,
If
that
nothing
guy who
else,
cracked the
right?
joke. I know we're doing a serious drama, but he was really funny. I think he might be able to,
Or even the next project when they come in. Hey, where's the little JoJo?
Exactly. Yeah.
Love it.
It was Joe joke.
Joe joke.
Joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like little JoJo better.
Okay, we'll go with little JoJo then.
Just dropping a little JoJo.
Little JoJo.
That's his weekend name.
How many movies you been in? Like what's the one you're most proud of?
Oh gosh. Okay, the high points of my acting career, not necessarily what I'm most proud of, but certainly in the high points, the biggest part I had was as the junkyard guy in Cartel 2045 with, what was that guy's name? Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
Wasn't it called something else before it got changed?
It was called Juarez 2045.
Yeah, Juarez.
Yeah, then Cartel 2045. What's interesting is that year I worked with Trejo on 2 projects. Because I worked as a boom operator on Cyborg X. If I don't know if you've seen that one. It might still be a Walmart.
I haven't seen it.
I'm actually a huge fan.
Yeah.
It's top 3.
The top 3 movies of all time.
Oh, that's some good boom operating. Whoever did that.
I was originally thinking is like the sound quality of this movie
It's just excellent.
on point.
I'm going to say I was only there for a few days, but I did still get the sole credit.
All right, that's all that we ask.
And which one did you like the best? You're most proud
Probably
of?
the film that I produced a few years ago called Fanatics, which is about when fans of Star Wars and Star Trek just take things a little too far.
Is that the one with
That
Travis?
sounds like life right now.
Is that the one Travis did?
I don't
Travis Smith did one
yeah.
that had Star Wars and Star Trek in it.
Directed by Mario DeAngelis.
Mario directed Fanatics.
Mario's going to join us a couple weeks.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fanatics was a joke that I had stored in my head for a long time, and I thought it was really funny, but at the same time really offensive. And I thought, well, I can't be the only person who thought of
So you
this.
brought Mario into it.
And no one had told this joke, and I'm like, okay, it has to be me. So we went for it.
And then the world became that movie, because now if you go onto social media anytime and just like look up anything Star Wars or anything related in that people
Yeah.
are just destroying each other, and
It's kind of funny. Yeah, it's not. It's yeah. There is a toxic fandom subtext
Do you
to it,
think-
I suppose.
do you think that's like this generation, or has toxic fandom always been around?
I think it's more prevalent because you see it more. I think it's always been around, but it's easier to sit back and just slam somebody.
Well, the people that would have like in the early 80s, I assume that would have been the people that are today, probably aren't the most vocal.
Right.
So now that they have social media, they're like,
Yeah, they can do it from behind their keyboards.
so now they're a lot more confident. Ha!
Well, you're still a little young, but before we had what we called chat rooms where everyone
gosh, yes.
you just Joe, but Brady, you'd actually
You
had
heard horror stories of
the
chat
dial
rooms.
up and you'd go on and you just go in these chat rooms and just people would just kill each other like for no and they could
no
be anywhere
reason.
though, but there's no way to know where they were. There's
I
no
know
pictures.
where you live.
None of that.
I tell you, logging on with that blistering fast 28K modem.
That's right.
That's how I first got on the interwebs.
I remember waking up at like 6 a.m. to play like
Because you could get
like
some connection.
Club Penguin or something like that back when I was little.
Yeah.
And just so my
Ballin'.
parents weren't waiting for a phone call. And then that lasted for like a year, and then we got wireless, and then life
Boom.
has been nonstop ever since.
Now I control
You
with
kids.
my face.
You kids with your broadband and your Wi-Fi don't know how good you got it.
You have no idea.
Back in my day.
But yeah, no, to answer your question, I think it's just easy to sit back and like a lot of people want to, like, for instance, my movie that I picked this week, people say, Jim, you pick the movie. And I'm like, you don't want me to pick the movie. They're like, why? I'm like, because you won't like the movie I pick. And then I say that, then I end up watching High School Musical 2. And I'm like, really? This is the movie you guys want to watch? Yeah, it's great.
It's so much fun.
It's not great.
The plot. It's filmed in Utah.
Yeah, it was. And I saw a lot of local day players in it. It was nice of them. So I understand that you and Mario, did you guys put together a business, something?
Well, Mario's one of the vice presidents of the Utah Filmmakers
Okay.
Association.
I know you guys work, because I see you with Mario all the time. So.
Well, yeah, we do work a lot together.
Yeah, buds. What
That's
was going
just
on?
how it is.
What was going on at his house the other day? I know he was plugging something that he was opening. I thought.
Oh, no, it was a housewarming party.
That's what that was?
Yeah.
I thought it was
And I'm proud to say I designed that Spider-Man theme poster.
Huh.
Yeah, he gave me, he's like, I want to do this. And I'm
Guess
like,
you're
okay, I got it.
BFFs.
It was awesome.
All
Loved
over
it.
it.
Their homecoming. So, yeah, it was just a housewarming party with movie themes because it's Mario.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
I met Mario at East Hollywood High.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was a teacher there. Brought me in to host their local film thing. I don't even. It was so long ago.
Oh, cool. I met Mario when I was being interviewed for John Moyer's documentary, The Real Life Singles Ward, back in the day.
That's a
Clips of which I showed at my reception when I got married.
horror story right there.
They tried to get Dave to be the lead of Singles Ward. Older brother Dave, and he turned it down.
Oh, I was like, is there another
And that's
one
how
being
they
made?
That's how they went and got Will Swenson, because him and Dave are friends.
Yeah, I remember that's one of the plethora of LDS movies that like my family had, but I never really watched. Like
I've
Church
never
Ball
seen it.
and all these different ones. But
Yeah.
Lost my train of thought.
That's a whole other topic. Yeah, save that for a whole episode. I'd be happy to come
Just
back.
the Mormon cinema.
Talk about Mormon cinema. Yeah.
Mormon cinema.
Dave's getting all sorts of calls for the new TC movie because he's in the trailer. And he's like, I'm getting more calls for that stupid trailer than movies I've starred in.
Oh well.
You know what's funny?
T.C. Christensen.
Speaking of the Mormon movies, and just briefly, prior to the high point of my role in Cartel 2045, it was my bit part in Mobsters and Mormons as the Sunday school teacher. And in my opinion, I think Mobsters and Mormons is the best of all the Mormon themes.
It's the Godfather of
Mormon cinema.
What an excellent segue, Brayden.
Right.
That is just, wow.
What? That's what I went to school for 4 years for that moment. That moment.
He was
alone.
awake for 3 of it.
For 3 years. I was awake for my freshman year. I was hardly awake for any of my classes. So you're right. Like literally, my freshman year was a wild ride for me. But yeah, Joe, I really appreciate you coming on. And like, I just want to, before we go into our movie reviews, we didn't really actually talk about your callback. We kind of got on.
Yeah, we went right past
Yeah,
that.
I'll stop.
I think it went well.
Who was it for? What was the project? Can you say?
Yeah, it's called Echo Boomers. Michael Shannon is the big name.
Fine
attached,
actor.
And
He's okay.
Shut up.
He's
I
fine.
He's
enjoy his
awesome.
work.
He's just an Academy Award nominee.
Yeah, he's great. I tell Charlie Halford all the time, I'm like, you got to go for whatever he's going for. And you guys could play brothers or something, like, because they look so similar. By the way, we just got.
I will find him.
We just got bumped by Charlie. By the way, he's not going to be able to do his
23rd.
day. So but he'll be in town in August. So we might have to move some stuff around.
I was
That's
glancing
fine.
at Charlie's Facebook thing. I think he's got more of a Dermot Mulroney look than a.
Do you actually know Charlie?
Yeah, well, we're friends on Facebook.
Yeah, but
so,
you don't actually. But
Okay, there is that. But I do a thing. All right.
you just see the pictures that he puts
Are you
up.
familiar with SLCnerd.com?
No,
No, I'm
you
not.
should be. I do some of their
I'll
content.
look it up.
I'll look it up right now.
I do some of their memes on their Instagram feed. One of the things I do is local celebrity doppelgangers.
Jim, you're all over here.
Am I?
No.
I'm not a local celebrity anymore. I'm a has-been.
Now I'm gonna have to do. I'll have to
So what's
see
next,
Charlie.
Joe? Before we move on, really
Yes.
though, what's next? What are you working on? What's going to come out next? You got any projects that are rattling around in your head? What's up?
I do have one kind of a vlog type. It's making fun of vloggers and film noobs.
Podcasters.
And podcasters, exactly.
I don't want to go too much into it. 'Cause I think one of the things that people, one of the problems that a lot of young filmmakers have, new filmmakers have, is they talk too much about their projects and they never do them.
Never get them done.
So I'm not. Yeah, I'm going to keep my cards
All right,
close
that's
to my
fine.
chest.
So you just say they're still rattling around.
They're still
up there.
rattling around, but I got one that's ready to.
You're not ready to release a little JoJo yet. I understand.
No JoJo. Just
I understand. Let's talk some movies.
Oh yeah,
All right.
The best, not the best part, the equally good.
The equally good. No, you can say it, the best part. Dang, we're finally done talking to Joe. Let's move along.
I can go now.
No,
No,
I'm sorry,
you-
Joe. I didn't mean it that way.
I know.
You can actually talk about the movies if you've seen them.
Yes, I've seen them. I'm good.
Well, the first one I want to talk about is Jim's movie that he suggested for us to watch. Is a ghost story.
Yes. What's a ghost story about?
Well, it stars Casey Affleck. I
Casey,
think it
yeah.
stars him.
Yep.
And he gets in a major car accident, and then this is where it gets confusing. He's a ghost. He wakes back up as a ghost, essentially, in a sheet. Like it's not like a
So it's more of a ghost.
Ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then he's basically haunting his fiance or his wife for a little while, and then time starts getting weird. I have a hard time keeping up after that point. It's like he ends up in the past. He ends up in the future. I mean,
I tell you, as it was unfolding for me, I was like, I want to make fun of this.
I felt like this was a
I'm
mock.
like, when's the mystery machine going to pull up in the driveway and we're going to see Shaggy come out? Come on, Scoob. We
Why?
gotta
Because
find
they
out
just
what
have
the
long shots of nothing happening for a long time.
Literally, that scene where she's eating
The
a
pie?
The pie,
I
yeah.
literally went and made
She ate
dinner
that whole pie.
and then came back and she was
She
still
didn't
eating
eat
the pie.
whole thing.
She did. She ate the whole pie. Well, she didn't eat the
There
crust.
was-
She didn't eat the
okay,
crust, but
okay.
she ate the rest. She ate the
But
pie.
that's the best part of the pie.
Yeah,
is
the crust?
Oh, okay.
I guess. I
was trying to give her the benefit of a doubt. I'm like, maybe it's a quiche.
Okay, so that's it. That's what you got.
I mean, and then I think throughout the entire movie, I was just like, what is happening? I'm just so confused of the point. And then the whole
you sound like Emily, by the way.
it was the best part of the movie was the monologue. 20 minutes left into it, where the one guy talks about how
he has more
yeah.
dialogue in that one
than
monologue than the other two actors have in the entire movie.
Well, it's a good point because I was watching it and Tamby, my sister, she walked in after work and she's like, "Is there any dialogue in this movie?" I was like, "There's some, there's some dialogue, but there's not much." So literally, I was sitting there just and there's dialogue between the ghosts, which is interesting.
I thought that was really cool.
So hi, I'm waiting for someone.
Who you waiting for?
I can't remember.
I forgot.
Never mind.
I don't think they're coming back.
Well, here's the thing. So I don't understand why they got Casey Affleck to be the ghost in this.
Okay, because he spent most of his time under a sheet.
He could have been. I
See,
could have been someone else.
the other ghost in the other room or in the other house, by the way, that's the director. He played the other ghost.
Oh, no kidding.
Just so you know.
See, as I'm watching, I'm wondering, there's no way I can tell that this is Casey Affleck.
Exactly.
I'm not 100% sure that's him under the sheet.
It was him.
He got way too jacked for this
I
role.
know.
Look up the director and see the
David
movies
Lowery.
he's done.
I know. But then there was the Phase 2 ghost or...
The old man in the
that's
gas.
what I read in the
Pete's Dragon.
credits. It was when you see Casey Affleck
Yeah.
and then you see the other guy. Oh, spoiler.
No, it's okay. That's why we like talking the older movies, because we can spoil
yeah.
them. Because if that's the whole idea, is we want people to watch them. The new movies we can't spoil. We have to. That's why I don't like talking new movies or popular
cool.
movies, because you can only talk so much of it. But when we bring up
this
the
one
old ones,
it is a couple years old.
yeah, it's much. And if you haven't seen it by now, it's not our fault.
Okay,
No, you're not
thank
going
you.
to see it if
You
you, haven't seen
should.
it by
You
now.
set my mind at ease. I would like to say the
There's
thing that
no way you find this movie if you. Yeah, if you
Well,
wasn't on
keep
the
going. I
radar.
got some stuff to say.
the thing I was really intrigued as I'm watching it. The first thing I noticed, of course, was the aspect ratio.
Yeah, that was interesting. I
And
was
I'm
wondering
like-
why they went that way.
And my first thought was this shot on 16 millimeter? And I'm like, no, the picture looks too good. And I'm
It's in
I
like-
thought 35 millimeter. They just didn't shoot it anamorphically, And it's like
like-
that is really
It's in
a
the
really
box.
interesting choice.
It's in a
yeah,
box.
it's in a box. It's like.
Don't use up the whole
consider
screen.
Most people are going to watch their movies and TV shows,
They
whatever.
pay for these big,
16
huge
yeah.
entertainment
It's
centers.
Makes you
16
wonder if
by
you watch-
9, but with that narrower thing, it made me think, okay, everything that is in that picture is going to be important. That's the only reason I can think of for choosing to shoot it in that aspect ratio, because it's going to be 100% visual. I haven't read about it. Am I correct in presuming that, with the exception of that possible gateway to the afterlife,
he didn't go into it. He decided to stay.
Everything was in camera. There were no visual effects. I'm thinking everything was just.
It's what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they might say it one thing, but they lie all the time. But yeah, that's what it looks like.
But as I went through, I'm like, I'd be surprised if there were anything. And whatever special effects did come up, I'm like, I can see how they would do that in camera. And
yeah, you got anything else?
Well, I was just thinking, it would be really interesting to watch this on the big screen.
Yeah.
Because of the aspect ratio and just because, it literally.
Nothing happens for minutes at a time.
It was an artistic point, obviously, and they wouldn't have done it either way. But I'm wondering if they wanted to make it feel that more like classic, like in the old times, like.
There's a specific reason why the shots are held so long.
Why?
Okay, so
because they went through a whole reel of film for one shot. It was like rope.
All right, so now I kept telling Emily this. I said you'll get more out of this movie the second time you watch it than the first time. And she's like, "How's that possible? Nothing is happening." I'm like, "But there is a lot happening." And she's like, "That's just crazy." And then later, after I kept asking her questions and I wouldn't give anything away, then later she'd keep coming back and going, "Okay, what about this?" And like, the more she thought about it, the more that started coming to her. And so first thing you got to know is, he did turn away from going in through that portal and he stayed. But they started with showing you the little glimmer, almost like a reflection. Yeah. And if you notice, you actually start seeing that little glimmer reflection all over the movie. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like a haunting kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And so the big monologue, so the big monologue is actually...
I have to comment on the glimmer. When I first saw it, I thought, is that like a nod to the A24
What's
logo?
going on there?
Because I thought A24 is distributing. Did they do that? Because did someone at A24?
But now go back and watch it and look for it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so they got these big long shots of nothing happening, right? Nothing's happening and time is going very slow, and it's like nothing's going on. Then the monologue happens, and what does he tell you in his monologue?
Basically,
doing anything is pointless because we all die.
Eventually,
kids die.
Everything is going to come to an end. But with that end, what's going to happen next?
It's like
it'll all suck itself back in
and then restart
and start over again. So when all of a sudden time starts traveling, it starts traveling very, very fast to where he would look at the little dead girl with the arrows in her, and she went from alive to dead to a skeleton to underbrush, like boom, boom, and the clip started getting faster. Time started getting faster, and then they start manipulating with the time, and it isn't him going back to the past at the beginning. He's literally reliving. He's been alive for so long that he actually has gone through the entire cycle of life until he is back to where he began.
Huh.
Oh my!
All right.
That's what he talks about. That's what he talks about in the monologue. Okay, so everything that you see and everything that's going on has a specific reason. And so even though it seems like a long, boring, nothing's happening, it's actually very, very well executed play on time and manipulation and the fact that really nothing does matter. And if you stick around long enough, everything comes to an end and everything will start again. So, and if you actually listen, like he talked about Beethoven, eventually someone heard song, and someone will hum it on later.
Yeah.
Well, remember the song that he had the girl, his wife, listening to on the headphones? Mm-hmm. If you listen to the little girl when they get back and they're staking when the settlers are coming across before they get shot by arrows, listen to the music that she's humming. She's humming his song. Well, she's not singing Beethoven. She's singing his song that he wrote in his for his wife.
Okay, yeah.
She starts singing his song, and she's a settler from. So where did she hear that? So it's all connected, it's all intertwined, and it's going around. It's a very circular film.
Very outside the box.
And so when you watch it a second time...
it also answered a question I always wondered. When a ghost haunts a house, if the house gets torn down...
What happens to the
Apparently the ghost is stuck to that piece of property.
And what do you think was on the little note?
That's a great question.
I was like, I thought I missed something.
Part of me wanted to know, the other part of me doesn't.
So the story behind the note is the director asked, it's Numi, what's her whatever.
The actress?
Yeah, she's
Rooney
in
Mara?
Mara, that's it, yeah. So she actually changed her name at one point. It was something else that she was in it doesn't matter. But when early in her career, she was one thing and she changed it to Mara. Anyways, she was told by the director to write something very personal that nobody else knew. So only people that know what was written on that piece of paper was her and the director. And she says now she doesn't remember what she wrote.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So it was probably like, I like pie. I don't know.
I was like, we know, Rudy.
So that's why I think that film, even though on your first viewing, it seems like, what the heck did Jim ask us to watch?
See, it's not one of those ones that you had me watch. That I was like, man, that was so it was such a weird Jim movie that I didn't like it. It's like, I knew that I liked the idea of it. Like it was just like a cool artistic. It just was way over my head. It was just like.
That's why I said it's weird, like to watch that movie a second time when you start noticing these things and you're all like, huh, like a movie that has nothing going on. How did I miss all that?
Well, good choice, Jim.
Thank you.
It was one of the better ones.
Thank you. And
enlightening.
I kept thinking of
was it scary?
Charlie Brent. Well, that's the other thing. It's like a ghost story. At first, I thought, "Ooh, is it going to be scary?"
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
So
not
Emily
scary.
kept
It's
asking
kind of
me.
sad.
Yeah, she's like, "Is it a ghost story?" I'm like, "No." She goes, "Is it scary?"
Well,
no.
It's
Is it?
a story about a ghost.
And I'm like, "It's a
Charlie
it's a
Brown's
love
costume.
story."
Literally a ghost.
At first, I wanted to make fun. Again, like I said, I wanted to make fun of it. Part of it was the sheet. And it's like, well, no, you're making a choice now.
I'm
Because it made me think
cosplaying for FanX.
Gonna be the ghost.
It's like we're gonna show up as the movie hour, and then Emily's gonna show up in her
Ghost.
It's
It's
like
a sheet.
like wow, who's this person?
Deep movie cut.
Deep movie. Nobody will know.
All right. Now we move on to
The greatest movie ever made,
But they say the sequel's better.
according to a lot of people.
Yeah, but they say the sequel's better. So you got The Godfather,
The Godfather.
which is Mr. Corleone, the Don himself, who once he decides he gets involved in something, just starts with the wedding, and someone asks him for a favor. And once he decides to do something for somebody, he makes sure it happens, and then that's what causes everything to cannonball from there, which ends up getting him killed and son killed, and which leads to Al Pacino taking over as the boss after he comes home from Italy after he murdered that man.
Oh yeah, it was on
Yeah.
And he had to go on the lam for a while, but then when he came back, they made him the boss.
When I first watched this movie, I thought, because I've always heard about Marlon Brando and being like this huge, like
Marlon Brando.
like this is the role he's going to be in it for the entire movie.
Yeah, and then he's not in it.
He's not in it, so I was like, okay, like who's going to be who's the lead? And then obviously Al Pacino is ends up kind of becoming who he is. I haven't seen Godfather 2 yet, so like
You should.
I watched this one. I was like, okay, so I see where it's going. It's kind of like the coming up story of.
And 3 was actually made like 13 years after 2. Like it was made in
Longer
like
than
19.
that.
No, I think it was 1977 to 1990, I believe. Let's see my math on
I'm
that.
going to the IMDb.
Do it, and if I'm right, I win a gold star.
1972 was The Godfather.
Yep. What was the sequel?
I can pull it up very quick.
Of course you can. And so, but anyways, while you're pulling that up, so why is this
1990.
1990?
18 years.
Okay, yeah,
18.
that's yeah.
Yeah, but from what was 2 to 3?
74.
All right, so 16 years in between movies. All right. Anyways, so why is this a movie that younger generations should watch, Brady?
I think it's one of those movies that I noticed the first time I watched it that you have to throw away all distractions. And I think, especially my generation, we have this hard time of disconnecting from like just kind of being by ourselves in our own headspace. And this is one of those movies that you just got to sit and just pay attention, because you'll miss a lot if you're just kind of quickly glancing at your phone, texting somebody, or like on Facebook, or just scrolling through Twitter. So you'll miss a lot. And I think it's just one of these movies that is just kind of lost in the time. I mean, just a lot of great acting moments in the movie. There's a lot of good character moments. And then Marlon Brando's character is, I remember when I first watched it, I had to put it on subtibles.
Because you couldn't
yeah.
understand what
Could
he was
not
saying.
understand it. It's like
That cat that he found that cat, by the way, that he's like, I'm going to use this. And it was like, what?
Why?
Just found a cat.
That's
like, this is
funny.
going to be my cat. I'm going to pet it.
So, and it's, I think, exactly. And
That's
I,
his cheek with cotton balls to do that.
Yeah, cotton balls in his mouth to do that. You know what I think is funny is that whenever someone makes what they call a Marlon Brando impersonation,
yeah,
they're not doing Brando.
No.
They're doing Don Corleone.
yeah.
Because
He's a real guy.
Marlon Brando's actual voice is more like this. And if you watch a movie like that awful production of
Island of Dr.
Island
Moreau.
of Dr. Moreau, yes, it's wonderful. I'm there. I was getting paid, and I could do it because I could do anything I wanted because I was a movie star.
And that pretty much that's the real Brando impersonation. I'm sorry, please.
No.
Bravo.
That was very good. We don't ever get impersonations on this show.
Well, we tried one time.
Yeah, but he denied us.
He denied. He's like, I'm actually not that good.
Our one impersonation is the creepy guy that sits next to Jim and me.
Yeah.
And that's about as...
He's the guy that every time we go to premieres, the same dude ends up next to us. And it's random seating too, and he always gets stuck and like he stinks, eats popcorn real loud, and just look at all the bunny rabbits.
That's our impersonation. That's all we get. Did you know that Marlon Brando is one of the only actors to decline his best actor Oscar?
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Sounds like
and
something
declined
he
it
did.
by proxy too.
Yep, he didn't show up, and he
Didn't want it.
He had a Native American
That's
woman,
right, he did. That's
woman,
right, he did.
And
now he's got in some heat from the Me Too movement because one of the movies he did that he didn't tell the actress that, by the way,
Last Tango in Paris.
Yeah, we're actually going to get real physical on this one, and they forgot to tell the girl and filmed it.
Yes, it's going to take the stick of butter and do some unspeakable things there.
Yeah, he raped a woman.
Yeah, on camera, basically. That's what he did.
That's awful. I did not hear that.
Yeah.
Now you have.
He's
And
not
go home and read all about it.
newly
Have
getting
nightmares.
heat. That's always been
Yeah,
a
it's
thing.
always
It's just
been-
getting more attention now because that is a horrible, horrible thing to do.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Don't do that. Shame.
Shame. let's drive the road. Get back on the road
Shame.
here. Talk about The Godfather, Jim, a little bit. Just
Godfather's just one of those iconic movies where it set everything up, where it changed kind of the format of the way movies are done, even where a lot of the movies now are, the formula is there now, and that's what Coppola did. He got it from the book, obviously, but the way that he did it, he set it up to where if you watch a lot of especially people that know they're going to make a sequel to it, and how to properly set up a movie for a sequel, and a lot of that stuff wasn't happening in 1970, and so he really set up the first. I don't think he ever meant to make the third one, but he definitely knew he was going to make a second one, and he set it up just perfectly for it. And that was Coppola doing all of that. And so I think just the formula, the way he did it, the you can go through all the styles and the shootings and everything, but for what he did is he told a story that made you want to watch more. Mm-hmm. You wanted a second chapter where before it was like you just saw a movie and it was over.
What's the deal with Michael Corleone?
Now, it was Mario Puzo who wrote the novel and the screenplays,
Yes.
right, for Godfather 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Puzo also wrote the screenplay for Superman with Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, he did.
And now I'm wondering, if I go back and watch Superman, am I going to see some
Godfather
elements in there that I didn't notice before?
I bet you would.
I mean, despite the fact that Marlon Brando did play
Superman's
Jor-El.
dad.
Yeah.
Jor-El. See,
Look
Yes,
at that.
My son, Kal-El. When I'm making off, you can refuse. I'm sorry.
just keep going. We're just kidding. So, Marlon, we're talking about your movies here, and we're just curious. What gave you what drove you to this role?
The money.
It was always the money. I'm just happy to be working. I am just
The greatest actor to ever live.
Because I am the greatest actor to ever live, and yes, I'm happy to do it.
There are others I can do better than.
Nah, it's all right.
Who is the greatest actor to ever live?
Well, it's subjective.
It is.
The most decorated one is DDL, but Daniel Day-Lewis.
There's I don't know. There's just so many like.
I think there's something to consider also for like actors and the style of acting in different eras, because like prior, I'd say like when audio became when it became talkies, you still had people being very over the top and very theatrical, literally,
Animated.
because that was stage acting. So you saw a lot of Cary Grant, oh darling,
Casablanca.
yes. So it was still very like that. Whereas modern acting is a lot more subdued. It's a lot more
Simple.
It's a lot more intimate because we can get right in there and do a little Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
That was more the Joker right there, Heath Ledger. In my it's like,
See, I always tell people acting is simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
I mean, to go off that example of the Joker, I mean, if you look at the 1980s Batman of Jack Nicholson, and then you go to Heath Ledger's Joker, they're completely like.
I like Cesar Ramon. Was it Cesar Ramon or Cesar
Romero?
Cesar Romero,
Cesar
where
Romero
he wouldn't
60s.
shave his mustache, and he had
They would just
the
paint
face
over
paint
it.
over his mustache.
Yeah.
He was the best Joker.
But I
like,
think also the 1980, the Tim Burton Batman, and even those sequels, even through the Schumacher.
Yeah.
Those were also they had kind of a more over the top style anyway. It was a heightened reality,
and they were,
whereas your Nolan ones are a lot more gritty, or a lot more realistic.
Exactly. So like it's like, but they're both. I grew up with Heath Ledger, and he's obviously my favorite Joker. But like,
how did Willem Dafoe never get to be the Joker?
Yeah, right.
He got to be
He got
Goblin.
the Green Goblin, and they put a mask over his face.
Like a consolation
They put a
prize.
mask over his face.
Hey, he's my favorite Jesus.
Okay.
Willem Dafoe.
Mr. Nazareth.
Well,
Has no one here
speaking
seen Last Temptation of Christ?
Yeah, that's right.
a movie that
Jesus of Nazareth who was in that one?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, okay. Moving along, sorry.
Well, a movie that doesn't have Willem Dafoe, but the same character. Jim, we talked a little bit about Spider-Man Far From Home last week. I said it was very much a high school romance movie with some Spider-Man elements in it. What do you think of it?
I liked it overall, I'd say yes, but there was a lot of cheesy elements to it that weren't in the first one.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were like some really bad jokes. I did like the Peter Tingle. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, that was terrific.
I really liked it. And when I actually told someone, I'm like, the Peter Tingle, they're like, wait a minute, that was a thing? And I'm like, yeah, it was actually kind of funny. The middle part of it, I don't want to give anything away, but
it's hard because it's there's a lot of.
But I liked the character that Jake Gyllenhaal played, Mysterio. I liked their back and forth and working together and fighting the elements. All that stuff was great, and I liked where it went. So I mean, all in all, I liked it. I thought it wasn't as good as the first one.
Yeah, I agree too.
But I do think it was bigger than the first one too. And yet people were like, "This one's much more smaller, intimate." I'm like, and I'm like, no, like some of that stuff they did was
the very
like
end.
huge.
Like literally
bizarre.
in Homecoming, he doesn't really fight that well.
He goes after him and stops him, but he doesn't.
It's not because he beat him. It's because the tech blew up on the Vulture. And that
tried to save him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, the end battle is just Spider-Man finally, like, you've seen him do it in other movies. Obviously, you've seen him in other movies, but this is the first time in a solo movie where he's like, okay,
getting it.
And
it was interesting. My wife and I, we just saw it too, and before we did, we watched Homecoming to brush up, and it's interesting to see the different way that Tom Holland handled the character from. The eager, cocky kid in the first one to this kid who's feeling totally overwhelmed and really humbled.
Stop calling him my Peter Tingle.
Isn't Melissa Tomei just great?
She's so
They
hot.
did
I think
nerd
she's
him
awesome.
up more though.
Which is I actually enjoy a lot because,
appreciate it.
like, in a lot of he's supposed to be the smartest guy in the room, right? And a lot of people are kind of frustrated at the fact that they're making him Tony Stark 2.0. But then you think about it in this kind of generation, in this day and age, somebody that's supposed to be the smartest kid in his school would be kind of reminiscent, close to what Tony Stark would be. And
his talk with Jake Gyllenhaal when he was talking when they first meet and he starts talking. Wait a minute, and they start getting into that geek
scene.
talk, and he's in the room with scientists and they're all looking at him like you're a nerd, and he's all and Gyllenhaal says, "Don't ever apologize for being the smartest person in the room."
Oof. And I audible was like, yeah. Like, I've never been that, but yeah, smart people. But
no, I say go see it. Definitely go see it. Big movie. It did have a lot of the romance, but it was a big movie.
I think it's setting up for an even bigger movie.
Yeah, exactly. The third one,
like Spider-Man 3 with
I think it's
Tobey
a bridge
Maguire.
to, like,
yeah.
Huge.
Epic.
Oh yeah.
Huge.
I mean, my biggest thing with, and I love Tom Holland. He's like my favorite Spider-Man, young Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think Tobey Maguire is still the best because he's been able to do more because the movies that he's in, they tell a lot more mature themes in it.
True.
Whereas Tom is still that high school, just kind of.
Yeah, they found a way to put him back in high school, didn't they?
Yeah, true, exactly.
And
well, I remember thinking when Civil War came out that I was kind of hoping that that they would get Tobey Maguire to be Spider-Man.
Well,
Civil
we
War.
talked about we'd like to see the Spider-Verse with both Andrew Garfield, Tobey, and Tom Holland
And
all
just
in the
all
same.
come back for one.
That'd be awesome.
That would be
As
pretty
I
dope.
understand it, I'm not a comic book guy.
Yeah.
I just know Marvel from the movies. But when I cheat on reading the Wikipedia articles, as I understand it, in the Civil War comic, Spider-Man is, he's a veteran superhero. He's an adult. And
He's essentially in the comic, the Civil War comic. That's the kind of the plot device between Tony and Steve. Is that the government wants Spider-Man to unveil who he is to the world, and that's kind of Tony Stark's kind of like, he's like, okay, no, this is a good thing, and Captain America's like, no, like his secret identity is important. So that's
well, if it doesn't make $1 billion,
that's
Sony
the rumor,
gets it
right?
back.
That's the rumor, right? But it made $600 million.
Yeah, I think it'll be all right.
It'll be fun. It's already at $600 million worldwide. But yeah, I'm excited for the future of the character. I would love to
Me
see.
too. I'm looking forward to seeing.
I would love to see him and MJ keep going forward, and then get to college and keep going into those more mature themes. And like, I would love to see, because there's the line in Spider-Man 2 that they have yet to get into that I think is the best out of all the Spider-Man movies, where it's like, this is my blessing and it's my curse. It's like, and I'm Spider-Man. Like, I roughly jumped over what it actually is, but like that whole phrase is just kind of the embodiment of who Spider-Man is. And I don't think they've touched on it a little bit, but they haven't touched on it enough where they're like, he's really sacrificing so much of his life to be Spider-Man. He's ruining relationships, and he's ruining all these hopes and dreams of his just to sacrifice this life to be a hero.
J.K. Simmons certainly didn't help in that mid-credit scene.
Spoilers.
Spoiler.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ooh.
That's in all the. Well, hopefully people have been on the internet at all.
So we'll cut it there just to avoid anything else.
All right. So just real quickly, do you have anything to say about your Crazy Rich Asians that was completely cheesy and dumb?
I love Crazy Rich Asians.
Why?
I thought it was so funny.
Why?
I think Awkwafina was hilarious. She was like literally that scene. My sister and I, when we went and saw it, that scene where she's driving to the boyfriend or the boyfriend's house for the house party, and she's just sitting there, and they're like just being all lovey-dovey, and she's like, "Hey, invite me in, please." And then it's like, "Oh, fine." And she gets, and she has like outfits planned out. I think it's just really funny. And it might be tailored toward my generation a lot more, but my mom loved it. I mean, so.
I watched it for you though, so
Yeah.
I did.
I didn't tell you to watch it.
Well, you just told me how funny it was, and then I had to watch the whole thing.
I didn't watch it. I just heard dialogue from the other room, and
You've
I
not-
had
have you
no
just-
idea what he was watching. But I was like, "This sounds terrible."
Oh, Emily, you have no idea.
I don't know, but it was only pieces.
It's known as one of the best rom-com movies coming out the last few years. I mean, I think it's really done
It got
really.
a lot of praise. You're not the only one that liked it.
Yeah,
It's all right. I don't have to like everything.
exactly, Jim.
I personally have not seen it yet, but I think it's on HBO.
It's
I
on
think,
H-
I think
it's
I do
on
want
the-
to see it.
it's on the Hobo.
Doesn't it have Gemma Chan?
Yes,
I love her in Humans
and then
on AMC. That is such a
a-
cool show, and she was
I
really
loved
terrific.
Humans.
She got cast as like Mary, Queen of Scots, and recently, and some people were making a big. There's a big uproar about it because she's Asian.
Come
and
on.
she had the perfect comeback.
They
She's
don't
like,
mind. They don't mind when it's the other way.
Yeah, she came back with. She said, if John Wayne could play Genghis Khan, I
Yeah.
can play Mary, Queen of Scots.
well, and then
Excellent point.
Dumb. Doesn't matter who plays who. Just tell the story that you want to tell.
to kind of close out Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah. Close
Henry
it.
Henry Golding, I think he did. Like, it was his first.
The handsome gent.
Yeah, he was his first role in any movie. I thought he was a real good. I want him to play the Shang-Chi superhero, the MCU. He's an Asian superhero.
Yeah, I'm not a comic book guy either.
So I would like to see him play that main character. So I think that'd be pretty good.
Because he's a dreamboat.
What's up?
Because he's a dreamboat. He's no Ryan
No.
Gosling.
Well, no, that man, like, he's a gorgeous man. He was on Bachelorette. He was on the Bachelorette.
Oh, was he?
That was how he got his first like mark on the world.
Okay.
Really?
Oh yeah,
He started out
On
in
The Bachelorette.
reality TV and
Yeah.
then actually transitioned to a real acting career?
right. Who would have thought
Wow.
next is going to be the president?
That'll never happen. A TV star won't be president. Come on. All right,
Simon Cowell for
let's
president.
wrap this up. We're at about an hour, so
We're at 55 minutes, Jim.
55. Well, good. We got a little bit of time to pitch our new movies, and we always let the like last week was Logan Lucky.
That's good.
Yeah, and that's what Michelle Morel asked us to watch. No, it wasn't Michelle. It was Jr. Junior.
Curtis.
Yeah, Junior asked us to watch, and I watched that again. Did you get time to watch that one, Brady?
I wasn't able to, no.
It's okay. That's a fun one. So if anyone's out there, go watch that one. Maybe Brady, when you watch it, we can talk about that one a bit. But it's a fun movie. Good. It's basically a bank heist only.
I really
at a NASCAR
like everything
race.
Adam Driver's in, so I should have watched it.
You should watch it. Yeah,
I'm
it's
a
got
huge Adam Driver.
Daniel Craig, Charlie Halford.
Honestly, I
He's in a
think
big
Adam
part in
Driver is
that.
my favorite actor. Right,
Yeah, I can
going
tell.
forward right now.
Yeah,
Like,
he's no Ryan Gosling.
I'm really
or-
looking forward to the new Jim Jarmusch film, the zombie film.
Oh,
He's
it's
Adam
good.
Driver.
It's not getting very good.
Broadway
Yeah,
right now?
it's already out.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of been crushed. But they say
I'll go
that
watch it with you.
I'll go see it still.
Yeah.
They say Adam Driver and Murray are very good in the movie. Just everything else is
Well,
kind of
good. That's all I needed.
Exactly.
To see.
Jarmusch.
And it's Jarmusch. Come on. that's-
Jarmusch. All right, so give us a movie for us to watch, kind of like on the whole thread of something that we probably might have missed, something that's a little gem in your heart. What would you like me and Brady to watch? We might get time to talk about it next week. We might not, but I will at least watch
Jim.
it.
Watch it. I'm the failure over here. Throw me under the bus, Jim. I swear.
What you got for us?
Oh, I'm sorry. You were
you.
directing that to me.
Yeah,
oh,
you.
my God.
Give us one of your
you.
favorite little movies that's in the back of your head that you like to watch that most people don't see. What is it?
Oh, man. You really put me on the
You
spot.
can
here.
take a second while we pick ours.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Think
you
about it
I'm
for
gonna
a
think
minute.
about it.
Jim,
for
go
a
ahead.
minute.
All right, so I've got a list of them, and I was trying to figure out which one I want to do. But I just keep coming back to the first one I wrote down. For some reason, I love this film. Every time I tell anyone to go see it, they're like, dude, that movie is awesome. It's Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
That's a good one. I like it.
Have you seen Tucker and
Never
Dale?
even heard of it.
Well, you're in for a treat. Because now I've given you a weird one last week, right? A little artsy, fartsy out there movie.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to give you just straight up
Netflix.
gold.
Alan Tudyk.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Alan Tudyk
Yeah.
fan. So
You're going to, if you like to laugh and you like the whole...
I don't know. Can you call yourself a huge Alan Tudyk fan if you haven't seen? Dark
You
Knight
really
Rises?
should see this one. And anyone, it's on Netflix. It's real easy to find, and I promise you'll be hooked in the first 15 minutes of this. You'll go, this is funny.
Okay.
It's great.
Okay,
So,
I got one for you.
what do you got?
It's an Australian film.
Oh.
It's called Proof
Okay.
with Hugo Weaving
Yeah.
before he was Agent Smith,
Yeah.
and Russell Crowe before he was Russell Crowe.
Nice. Did you see? Because the guys from Australia, they
So the one
do.
with Gwyneth Paltrow and
They did
Jacob
all the
Gyllenhaal,
saws and
right?
everything like that. So did you see the one that they went back and did called The Mule with Hugo?
No, that one's on. I think that's on Netflix, isn't it?
Is it? It's one where it's basically about a guy who gets caught drug trafficking,
Oh wait, okay. Yeah.
and because they can only hold him for so long, but they're gonna hold him until he has to go poo,
Of
and
course.
and so they can find the drugs. So he decides to just hold it, and so the movie's about a guy who can't poo or else he'll go to jail. That's what the movie's about, and it's freaking awesome.
Okay, I gotta go check that out.
It's the same. It's like that Australian crew that made all of those ones, so they're like all connected in there.
That also reminds me of Maria Full of Grace, also about a drug mule pooping out condoms full of coke or whatever.
Good times. Good times. All right, so yours was called
Proof.
Proof. All right,
Proof.
I'll check that one out. And Brady?
1991, directed by Jocelyn Morehouse.
Yep.
Written and directed.
The movie that I originally suggested earlier, but we never really got to it. Sing Street.
Sing Street.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Irish one?
Yep. The Dublin. So I suggest if you're gonna watch, it's on Netflix. I believe it's still on Netflix.
I can find it.
Put on the subtitles. They have thick Irish accents, but it's a fun time. The songs are all good.
I see Littlefinger is in this.
Littlefinger, he has a dance number.
No kidding.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Get to see Lord Baelish dancing.
That's the
All
funniest thing
right.
because I was in the middle of my Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones binging.
Yeah.
And like, then I watched this movie a little later on, and then all of a sudden you just see him like the main song of the show. They make a music video for the kids,
Cool.
and he's like and he's the dad, and he's just like dancing,
Getting
like
down.
he's just like, oh, so I just can't imagine Peter Baelish doing this, but all right. But yeah, it's a good time. A little kind of coming of age movie of a rock band. So, yeah, I did this whole show deaf.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear a word.
And we didn't talk about your brother Steve.
Ah, there he is. It was funny the other day. I was helping him dig in his
Some
yard,
holes?
dig holes for his sprinklers.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, oh yeah, so much fun. And he was telling about like how helpful like this podcast is, because before, my family is kind of a lukewarm movie going bunch outside my sister and I, and we this kind of podcast has opened their door for them to go out, and like when he goes out and travels, he goes in and is like, oh, this is the movie that Jim and Brady talked about, so let's catch that. Or so he
Well, good.
he's the one that we've helped.
Dude, we're open the eyes of 1 to 2 people.
Hey,
That's huge.
1
gotta
to
make
2.
a difference where you can.
Exactly. We got to pick our battles.
One person at a time.
Exactly. But yeah, thank you guys for this show. I mean, thank you for allowing
Thank you for this show.
we really do
Thanks
appreciate
for listening.
it. Number
Tell
15.
your friends. We have fun.
Oh yeah, like this is we're literally having a blast every week. We're getting a little bit better, getting a little bit more comfortable.
I'll be sure
Or
to
at least we're tolerating
plug the
ourselves.
heck out of it, and
This will be up-
UtahFilmmakers.org.
Done.
This will
And
be up
Utah
8 a.m.
Filmmakers and Actors Group.
8
Sweet.
a.m. Thursday morning.
It'll be up.
Yeah, and
It's not 4th of July anymore, so
Next
now it's
week.
just Thursday.
Should we-
This is
should we
for the
tease who our
5 people
guest
that
is next
listen.
week?
It's your reminder that today is Free Slushy Day.
Free slushy day.
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven.
Oh, yes. Cool.
So
Yeah.
go and get your slushie.
I'm gonna
Listen to
do
us on
that.
the
I live like a block
podcast.
away from a 7-Eleven.
So
They
this
know
is
me.
not
I'll wait till
sponsored.
7:12 and
This
get
is
it.
not
Spend
sponsored.
$1.
This is not sponsored by 7-Eleven.
Yeah, but if 7-Eleven would like to sponsor us, give us a call. We taking sponsorships.
next week's guest, Kate Florman,
Nice.
she's coming on, so be excited for
We
that.
need more girls on the show.
Yeah,
and I don't want that to sound creepy. I mean that. We need to.
It's
We
just
need.
been a sausage fest in here. So
Yeah, we need-
We've had one out of our 15.
We need to have more.
That's my bad. But literally, like I've like the last two. July and August, that was kind of lazy on my part, where I was like, all right, if you're interested, come to
on
us.
down.
there's a whole organization called Utah Women in Film and Television.
Okay.
That I'm sure would love to be.
Well, we got a
part of
few.
your-
We got a few more coming up in a few
Okay,
weeks,
yeah,
and
good. You
Am
need
I
to-
allowed to be in that group?
we got
Yes, I
Emily.
believe you can be. Yeah,
Okay.
you can. You know.
Well, we
An
can have
ally
Emily go.
kinda.
We have
find them.
Emily. That's why we have Emily.
I should be the token
I
representative.
don't count unless I have to talk
Push
to
the
other
buttons,
women.
woman.
And then to bring the women. No,
See, it comes across creepy when you say that, but I actually generally think that we need more of a woman voice.
Yeah, it's true. Outside of Emily, and we already pushed away Tammy.
Yeah.
I mean,
She's like, I don't even listen to your crappy show anymore.
she told me that she did still. So
Oh, that's good. Hi,
she,
Tammy.
she thought that it was really funny last week.
Which one?
The one with JR.
Oh, good.
So the one we did
Mr.
last
Junior. They get all messed up, man.
week. All right. Well, episode 15. I think this is a good time to close it out. Emily, do you got that queued up?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to play
Only
that,
slight little edit. Take out some of the spoiler alerts over there.
Oh, sorry about that.
Gave it
yeah.
a little bit too much.
do I have
I
to?
think it'll be.
I think you'll be fine.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I'll see y'all next week.
Hi, Mom.
Go to UtahFilmmakers.org.